All right, class. In today's lesson, we're going to be talking about the line of best fit. But before we go into examples, let's go over a couple key concepts that are important for this lesson. The first one is that a line of best fit is a straight line that best represents the trend of the data on a scatter plot. So the line is basically going to go through the middle of the data, just showing how that data is going to be either increasing or decreasing. It should go through the center of the data. And when we draw a line of best fit, try to have as many points above the line as you have below the line. Okay, so we try to get it as close as possible. Sometimes we're not able to, but we try to get the same amount above and below. Now, a line of best fit can be used to predict the outcomes of data that we need for later. So, like a prediction is, let's say for a certain situation, we need a data point that is not on the graph. So, what it is, we can use the line of best fit to make a prediction on what that answer could be. Okay. So, the outlier is a data point that is significantly different from the other values in the data set. Meaning, when we graph it, you will notice that there's going to be like a point, or it could be 2 points that stand off different from the rest. It could sit off by itself, or it just looked like it don't belong, and that is what we call an outlier. Okay. Now, in order for us to do a line of best fit, we are going to use Desmos. So in order to do Desmos, we have to enter our points in a table using the plus sign in the table feature. Okay. Once we get our points in a table, we're going to click zoom to fit so that we can see all the points. And when we get to like step three has two options. Now, if we have multiple choice, then we can type in the answer choices and we can see which line fits the data the best out of the four choices. Now, option two, if we don't have multiple choice, we can add what we call a linear regression line. Linear regression line is similar to saying like your y equals mx plus b, the equation of the dots. Okay, so we can hit the add regression button, and when we hit the add regression button, we will be given the equation in slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, and that'll be the equation that we can use to make the predictions. But we're not making predictions in this lesson. What we're doing, we're just trying to find the equation. So now that we know what we're about to do, let's look at it a couple of examples. So in the first example, it says that the scatter plot shows the data from Julian's car trip. Okay. So when we look at this, and most of these questions will not be tables already. So because they're not tables already, we have to make tables. So we're going to make a T-chart. So we have to list our table of values. Now, with the scatter plot, it's not going to be as dead on as we would like for it to be. So it's more so like we're kind of trying to get the points as close as possible because they're not given. We're just kind of looking at a graph. And sometimes they're not counting by ones, they're making big jumps. So, like for this one, the first dot we got, you can see it sits at 0, 0. The next one we have is going to be in between 0 and 1. So for the x value, that's going to be, we can say 0.5. And then it goes over. So it's in between 0 and all the way to 50. Halfway between 0 and 50 is 25. And it's below that, so we can say 24. So we're making predictions. We got 1, and it's just above 50. So we can say 1 and maybe 52. Okay, and then we go from there. We got 1.5. And that one is dead center between 50 and 100. So we can say 75. Then the next one we got is 2. That's in between. So we can say 2 and 125. We got 2.5. And I would say roughly maybe 140. Okay. We got 3. And I I would say 175. Got 3.5 and say about 210. And we got 4 and I would say about 2, maybe 240. Okay, so now we got our table. We take and go to Desmos table. We're going to enter all our values. So we got 0, 0.5, 1, 2.5, nope, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, and 4. Now once we get that, go to our other side, we got 0, 24, 2, 75, 125, 140, 175, 210, 240. All right, so we got our values. So we hit our zoom to fit, the little magnifying glass, bringing all our points up on the graph. Now, if we look at this question a little bit more, it is a multiple choice. So it want to know which equation best, okay, best fits the data. So if we're looking at the one that best fit, there's going to be 3 that don't look like it fit at all, and then we got 1 that's the best of them all. Now, best means it might not be as accurate, but it's the closest we can get to it. So because we have multiple choice, we're going to type in all 4 choices and find the best one out of the 4 options. So if I enter my equations, so now I got all 4 choices in Desmos. Now I can turn on dots or lines. I can turn them off by clicking the dot color right beside it. So if I turn on the y equals 40x, that one looks okay. Then we're going to go with our next one. I like that one better, so we'll turn the y equals 40x off. Then we look at the next one. We got y equals 40x plus 25. Still, the red one looks better. So we turn that one back off, and then we look at the green one. The green one don't even go through the middle of the dot, so definitely not the green. So our answer for this one will be, the best one will be y equals 60x. All right, so let's move on to example 2. Example 2 says that a scatter plot is shown. Which equation best represents the scatter plot? So in order for us to get the equation that we need a t-chart. So we're going to start with our t-chart. We're going to go ahead and draw that so we can get our table of values. So in our table of values, we're going to start with a
that we got. So that would be 0.5 and maybe 21. 1 and that's a little bit above 21, so that'd be 1 like 25. 2, say about 31. 3, that's a little bit above, say about 3 and 35. 4, say about 4 and 42. Next one is 5, that's a little bit above, so we say 5 and 45. 6 and 50. 7, and I'll say about 59. We got 8, that's 8 and 61. And then the last dot we got is going to be 9, and I would say about 65.
our points, go to plus sign table. Get there, we hit our zoom to fit to get it on the graph, and we go back to our 4 choices because it is multiple choice, and we type them in. So our first equation was y equals 5 plus 2x. Now, just by looking at that one, you kind of already tell that that will not be an answer because it needs to go through the points. This one's not even touching the points. So we go to our next one. We got y equals 20 minus 5x. Same thing, it's not really touching the point. So let's move to the next one. We got y is equal to 5 minus 20x. Mm-mm. And then the last one we got is going to be y equals 20 plus 5x. Okay, so just by looking at the colors that we had, we already said that neither one of the first three and the last one we got, you see how it goes through the points on the graph. That's what we want. We want the line to go through the points, or as many points as we can, having a balance on the top and the bottom. So in this example, our answer will be D. Okay. All right. So let's complete our last example together. Um, let's delete out everything from example 2 from my Desmos. Start fresh. So in our third example, it says the graph shows the bacterial growth over several hours. It says which equation best fits the data. So in order to do so, yet again, before we begin, we have to take what's on this table, I mean in this graph, and put it in a table. So we're going to start with a t-chart so we can list out what appears for x and y values. Got our list of points. Go to plus sign, make a table, enter our values. So the values in, hit our zoom to fit magnifying glass. Go from there. Now we can go look at our four choices. So now zooming into our four choices, we go underneath that, type our equations in. We're going to see which one matches the best. All right. So looking at that one, first equation typed in, it don't really look like it goes through any of the points like it's supposed to. It's supposed to touch as many points as possible. So we can turn that one off. That one is no longer important to us. Take it away. We can mark it out. It's not a choice. So B says we got y equals 1000 plus 50x. That one is not really going through any points, but it do follow the data. So we're just gonna turn that one out because it may be a good choice. Go to the next one. We got y equals 1000 minus 100x. Okay, so that one's not even following the data. So because it's not following, we're just gonna delete that one. So that's definitely not an option either. The last one we can check will be y equals 1000 plus 100x. Okay, so now looking at that one, and then looking at the other one, the red one, we can see which one is the best out of the two, and the best out of the two was answer choice D. Okay, so now we completed all three of our examples. Now, just knowing that everything starts with your table. Now, when you got to pull your points out of the graph, you try to make your best estimate of the point where it is, put it in a t-chart, and you enter it in your Desmos. Once you enter in the Desmos, you hit zoom fit. Once you hit your zoom to fit, you type in your four choices, and you find out which one fits the best. Now, if it's not in multiple choice, you have to hit your linear regression, and then it will create the equation for you, and then you go from there. And that is it for this lesson. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.